these kids today, I don't know where they got their training, but they were terrific.
Welcome back to Expedition Universal Studios. On this week's episode, we'll be taking a look at the history of the action-packed, gun-slinging stunt show, the Wild 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 West Stunt Show, and looking at what happened when this love it or hate it show was replaced and what the future holds for the location. When Universal Orlando opened in 1990, it was already facing an uphill battle to compete with a certain neighbouring theme park that had opened down the road a year before, Disney's MGM Studios, now known as Disney's Hollywood Studios. MGM opened with the popular stunt show Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular, which was already receiving rave reviews and left Universal playing catch-up in their newly opened East Coast park. Universal did not need to look far from home though for inspiration on how to fill the entertainment gap at the new Orlando park and boost capacity.
I thought I told you to stay away from her. She hit on me. Well, guess what, mister? I'm gonna hit on you now.
At Universal Studios Hollywood, a Wild West themed stunt show had been operating since 1970 in various different forms, starting out with just a roped off area in front of guests for stunts to go into a full-scale arena in the upper lot of the park, showcasing cowboy themed actors surviving death-defying stunts, shootings, and explosions. The show featured a mix and match of Universal's Western films and had wowed guests with its live-action stunts. Universal decided to bring over an almost exact replica of the popular Hollywood show and decided to create a new 2,000-seater amphitheatre to house it. The theatre will be located near to the Jaws attraction, next to Amityville, and vowed to showcase a series of stunts that had lit up the screen from big-budget cowboy pictures to simple barroom TV fights. The Orlando version, however, would have some slightly updated effects over its Hollywood counterpart. The show opened on July 4th, 1991, and for its premiere, Universal invited a number of Western stars to witness the first show.
I know it's entertaining to people who love the West.
The show would feature 5 characters: pistol-packing Ma Hopper and her 2 bumbling sons, Claude and Cole, Felix Cassidy and Brett Taylor, who would be the 2 other cowboy stunt performers running the show. 20 stunt performers in total were hired for the show, with only 5 performing per show. Many of the performers were hired having previous stunt experience, though some were dancers with proficiencies in acrobatics. The actors worked 8 hours a day for 3 months to be show ready for the opening. John Zimmerman was the show's stunt coordinator, who had plenty of experience within Orlando on stunt shows, including working on the Ringling Brothers traveling show. He is still in the stunt business and has a stunt camp just outside of Orlando. Some of his more recent stunt work has been on movies such as Looper, The Maze Runner, and G.I. Joe Retaliation. The show's storyline was based around showcasing various stunt activities and fight techniques used in Western films and followed the characters as they perform increasingly exciting stunts. A few of the stunts performed in the show are 2 of the characters falling down an endless well into water after a fistfight, though the actors actually land on a stack of mattresses at the bottom and not a pool of water. Ma performs a fall off a collapsing balcony using the Western facade featured behind the actors. Felix Cassidy enters a building which subsequently gets blown up by dynamite. He then ziplines down a wire and falls from a banner. Before the explosion goes off in this scene, the stunt actor and 2 behind-the-scenes technicians would have to give a green light ensuring performers' safety. Disney's Indiana Jones stunt show had received fines from occupational safety in its first few years for injuries to stunt performers, and Universal wanted to avoid any bad press from its new show, so safety was paramount. Or you could say, I guess, safety was Universal? No, that doesn't make sense. Just before the finale, a shootout would occur between Felix and Brett on the floor of the show, and one of the 2 brothers on the rooftop of the facade. This would end with the brothers getting shot and spitting blood over a sign on the roof before falling. This bloody end was a surprising way to end the show, but a scene that was never altered as the show ran. The fall after being shot was called a plank high fall, and the performer would not land on a safety mat. Instead, the performer would land on sheets of plywood, which was a technique used in the early 1900s before foam pads were invented. The show wasn't done yet though, and there was still time for one more explosion. A falling facade trick was used after Felix sets off more dynamite, causing the facade to fall around the stunt performer, with the actor lined up perfectly to the window, ensuring his safety. The facade would then have the words "The End" written on the top. The cost of the show was never really revealed, though $50 million was spent on the introduction of Back to the Future the Ride and the Wild 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 West show during the year, with Back to the Future estimated to cost over $40 million of the budget. When the show finished, up to 2,000 guests could flood back into the park straight into Amityville, and usually straight into the Jaws queue line. Workers on the Jaws ride would often call this huge influx of guests the Wild West Dump, and would sometimes take out an extra boat in preparation for the increase in guests. The show would largely remain the same throughout its years, though it was sprinkled with some changes in lines to keep it relevant with popular culture. It would remain open for 12 years, and perform over 17,000 shows during its run, closing temporarily most years while the Bill and Ted Show took over its theatre at Halloween Horror Nights. The show's last performance came on September 1st, 2003. The original show in Hollywood had closed a year before in 2002. No replacement had been announced when the show was closed, with the show's stunt performers given the chance to move to other roles within the company, most likely to Sinbad's stunt show at Islands of Adventure, which had opened in 1999. No announcement was made on the replacement of the show until January 2005. It was announced that the reality TV show Fear Factor would be moving into the vacant theatre, and it would be called Fear Factor Live. The park's executives have been looking at ways to incorporate television shows into the park since NBC had paid $14 million to purchase Universal's entertainment properties. Fear Factor would be the first TV show to earn a permanent place at the parks. The show would offer park guests the chance to become contestants in the show and win prizes for a rotating set of different stunts and challenges. It was incredibly fun for those who actually got to perform in the show. The 20-minute long show would open at both Universal Studios Orlando and Hollywood on June 3rd, 2005. Park guests could volunteer for the main stunts by signing up in the front of the Fear Factor Live Theatre. The mini stunts performed in the show could be volunteered for up to 30 minutes before each showtime and would often consist of people unable to perform the challenge main stunts. The stage layout would be similar to that of the Wild 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 West show, but with a more modern theme for the facade. The main stunts would feature different stages to decide who would be crowned the winner, with a prize of a winner's t-shirt. The first would be the endurance hang, where participants must hang 40 feet in the air holding onto handlebar-like grips while wind blows in their faces. The second is the eel tank relay, where the contestants had to grab beanbags from a tank of eels, where their partners had to throw octopi into the buckets while swinging in the air. The final stage is called the Stuntman's Challenge, and faces the last two remaining contestants off against each other in two segments to determine the winner. The first part of this finale involves climbing the facade and retrieving 4 flags from the windowsills. After the flags are retrieved, they must enter a yellow convertible and retrieve 4 more flags from the car, only after the car has reached a height of 30 feet in the air. Once the flags have been retrieved, the first contestant gets to shoot a rocket launcher, which is more of a laser gun, at a target, and that person is the winner. Once the targets have been hit, there will be a series of explosions, and the facade will fall down, just like in the Wild West stunt show, over the host. The smaller stunts, which happen while the main stunts are being set up, are the Desert Hat Ordeal, which features scorpions being placed over a volunteer's head in a glass box, and a race to drink a milkshake consisting of meat, seafood, sour milk, and insects. The winner of the milkshake race gets a Fear Factor mug. Not really worth it in my opinion. The show has remained open since 2005, though it did operate seasonally in 2009 due to the global economic crisis, but opened again permanently in the summer of 2010. The show celebrated its 10,000th show in May 2006 and still closes early for Halloween Horror Nights, be it for Bill and Ted, RIP, or this year Academy of Villains. Fear Factor Live has now been a part of the entertainment offerings at Universal for longer than the Wild Wild West show. A few remnants do exist backstage of the old Wild West show, such as the stables previously used for horses in the show. Fear Factor has been rumoured to close for multiple years now, but each year keeps coming back after its closure for Halloween Horror Nights. rides. Myself, I've never been a huge fan of the show, though it does look fun to compete in, and it does a good job at increasing capacity for Universal Orlando. With another rumour currently being that a new stunt show is coming to the old Terminator 2 theatre, and the stage located on prime land for Harry Potter, could this be the future site of the Ministry of Magic? Fear Factor can't stay around too much longer, surely.
And we are so totally stoked to be back in our original venue, the Wild, Wild, Wild West Stunt. Whoa, something strange is afoot in our venue.
Yeah, Ted, this place is now called Fear Factor Live. Oh yeah, this is where park guests come and risk their lives doing nasty stunts for prizes.
What do they win?
A t-shirt. Okay. Yeah, but it's 100% cotton though.
Excellent!
What do you think of the Fear Factor live show? Would you like to see more Harry Potter in Universal? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Expedition Universal Studios. If you enjoyed it, please do subscribe to join us on our expeditions, and we will see you next time.
Sorry.